more, and I want to clear the next word, as good, more good health advice will be labeled as conspiracy.
People on the pills and injections are one step further. They're the people we can help.
I think this year we might get more personal trainers running against AI.
Everyone's just going to type stuff into ChatGPT and get their program and they won't need a trainer.
Red meat being good for you now is a conspiracy theory. Salt being beneficial is a conspiracy theory.
More labels, more pointless fucking labels of shit that people have been doing for decades, if not centuries, that no one actually gives a fuck about. Russell Kane did an incredible video the other day about breath work. It's just breathing, you cunt. Fucking hell, that destroyed me.
So Rob, this is our first recording of 2024. It feels like such a long time. We're sort of Christmas and New Year, and like I know you've been busy doing some like impressive stuff, both with Performance House, with Fat Loss Fastlane. God, that's a hard thing to say when you're caffeinated. You've gone and seen Phil Graham. You've done some stuff with Paul Moore. You know, I've done my first in-person event. We're building things on the portal. It's been busy. How have you been?
Busy. Exactly that. That's the accurate word. That's how it is. Sleep has suffered a little bit. In terms of life advancement outside of businesses, cut me hair, that's about it. But flipping hell, yeah, busy, man, as it should be. It's January. Why would we take our foot off the pedal and relax now? Now's the time. That big fucking New Year energy that everyone misdirects should be taking advantage and working hard. Why wouldn't you? Why would you do anything else?
It's interesting you said this, right? Because we say we're going to start us off with the state of the industry, and I think this is a really interesting January. I think in general, especially for coaches still working B2C, working with clients, that everyone thinks that January is going to be this amazing month. And then every year they're disappointed when they realize people are broke after Christmas. And most people try and do it themselves. Most New Year's resolutioners go, I'm going to have one less cake and I'm going to do 15 minutes on a treadmill a day. And I'm going to all of a sudden look like Brad Pitt in Fight Club. And like, it's February when they go, okay, this shit ain't working. I need to go and get some help. I think February's the better month. But it doesn't mean, I think so many coaches kind of they get depressed. They sort of put the foot off the gas. They stop doing stuff. And I'm like, I think this is what I call a slingshot month. That you're doing stuff that, yes, you're not getting sales, but you're ready for that February rush. The people who are working hard now, doing outreach, putting out lead magnets, doing free stuff, putting out good content, are the people that will reap the rewards in February and March, and people have recouped a little bit of finances. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, this is part I want to talk about today. Anyway, we're going to sort of not just dissect the state of the industry, but talk about our predictions for the year as well. Is that the industry needs to realise that it's several bubbles that it's got stuck in. The industry is one giant bubble, but there's several mini bubbles within it. We are in one as well, right? Which I'll touch on later. But it's just a sort of realisation I've had recently. But the talk will be amongst panicking PTs, business coaches, and the people that are already kind of active, maybe not hit their goal, are frustrated and are looking for that bit of direction, that sort of thing. They're kind of all talking in this weird triangle that January's a time to make sales. Everyone's big on New Year's resolutions, and you've got to put your posts out saying why your resolutions won't work and why you need to do this thing instead. And it's just within this trapped little bubble of people that are just talking to each other, when the people who actually need our help are, exactly like you just said, broke after Christmas. Well, they put everything on a credit card that they've got to pay off, but they're not thinking about investing in the PT or anything like that. They're probably still eating things that are left over for Christmas. And they've not got into the habit and the routine of getting outside because it's been pissing down or snowing and it's horrible outside. Why would you want to go out in it? They haven't really decided on a goal because your 20-minute goal setting masterclass that you put up as a lead magnet is not really enticing them to give a fuck, because they don't give a fuck. Because they're not necessarily looking for that big, inspiring goal that's going to change their life like we are. They're just looking for that chance to move away from a little bit of pain that they might not even be aware of yet. And this is the majority of people out there. Sadly.
I think most New Year's resolutions are if they set them at all, are fleeting thoughts in December that people forget about come January. Because what happens is they have this idea of January 1st, and then they get busy, and then they're a bit hungover on the 1st, and then they get back into work, and they have the last couple of days of holiday, so they don't really want to ruin it. And by the time they've got to the mid of the week, that goal that they had so clear in their mind between Christmas and New Year is sort of blurred into this work, life, stress, the usual. And I think a lot of coaches fuck themselves over because they're in a scarcity mindset, trying to do a hard sell to try and make money because they've forgotten the fact that this happens every single year and think that they're going to get tons of clients, and they're seeing the business mentor putting up, Steve made 37K in 2 minutes. And they think they're a failure, and they actually make it harder to gain money next month because the person's just trying to get back into work and keep their head above water and pay rent after spending on Christmas. If you hard sell them, they ain't coming to you in February. Whereas if you're the person that gave a bit of energy, gave stuff away for free, they're going to go, do you know what? When I have money, I'm going to come back and talk to that guy because he didn't immediately just give me give me a sales pitch.
Yeah. And I get it. We've got to get paid. We have to get paid. You can't just do, the old saying of just do what you love and you get paid is absolute fucking bollocks. You need to get paid. You can't just rely on your passion. You need to know business skills, selling skills, everything, right? But if you're a personal trainer, I would hope, if you're a decent personal trainer, that you genuinely got in this industry to help. And if someone does slide into your DMs, that's a conversation. Not necessarily, and business coaches will argue with me till this is the mountain I'll die on, right? Just because someone's entered your DMs and they're asking you a question doesn't necessarily mean that that's a pitch right there or a potential lead. It's just a conversation of someone who's looking for help that might just need a little bit of clarity, and it will take 2 minutes out of your day to set them on the right fucking path. Doesn't mean that you have to withhold any information and go, oh, jump on a sales call with me and chat with me, because they could be the worst fucking fit for your program, but there's still someone that you can help. This is why when my mates reach out to me asking questions, it's rare that I let any of them into my coaching. There's no chances are it's going to be a terrible fit. We're not going to talk seriously on check-in calls anyway. So it's absolutely pointless. And they might not do the work, and then I feel bad that they haven't got a result, and they might feel bad that maybe they think they didn't get it. I don't think it's the best relationship to have your friends as your coaching client.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean when we have a conversation, I'm not going to set them on the right fucking path to move forward and give them the information they actually need, which takes, like I said, less than 5 minutes of my flipping time. I'm not going to go, my mates asked me about, it's January, what can he do to get in shape for summer? I'd better come up with a PDF lead magnet and give it to him and get his email address, and then why? We're here to help people, aren't we?
It's a hard mental battle, though, isn't it? Like, because I get that. Like, I feel it. You've got to pay rent. You need to make sales. You want to hit a target a month to make sure that you know you're on the right path and everything's good and it's not going to fall off. Because being self-employed, it could easily fall off. You can never rest on your laurels, right? But on the flip side of this, like coming into the supercharge, and this is the reason why they've got a bunch of integrity, and it's the most amazing and frustrating thing in the world at times, is that they're very much a long game thing. It's like people need about 6-7 touch points before they buy. So it's like you help people, you do it for a very long time, you offer free stuff, and eventually they'll come to you. Like the amount of times I go, well, cool. And I've gone to them and I've gone, well, what's my thing this month? Like what's going to, and yeah, I'll get strategies, but it's always strategies to give back. What can you give back? What can you give back? What can you give back? And it's like, if I wanted a quick sale, I'm sure if I gave Ollie a call, like, I want a quick sale tomorrow, he could give me some stuff that's game changing. But the message is, you show up, you're consistent, you give stuff away for free, you generally help. And if you do this, the work I do now will be my clients in April or June or August or next January, right? Like, and that's, I get it. Sometimes a hard pill to swallow on people in a scarcity mindset, and we'll talk about that scarcity mindset in my predictions. But I think this is a weirder January than ever. I was chatting to a guy who went to gym in London. He was saying it's the worst January on record that he's had in terms of like people coming in the door. And I don't know if buying habits have changed with people maybe more focused on health rather than fat loss, with people maybe more going online, with people getting like the information on YouTube getting better, or whether it's just the fact that we're finally feeling the squeeze of the Tories fucking us a little bit. And I don't want to blame that because I'm not in control of the economy, but I do feel, and that links into one of my predictions later as well, that people aren't in as financially good a place as maybe they were last year.
Yeah.
And they're saving their money.
I think this is all
knock-on
effect,
right?
This is all knock-on effect from 2020 still as well. Like it's easy to kind of bury your head in the sand and go, well, that was then. Like lockdowns are over, nothing like that's happening again. And, yeah, but that caused a lot of damage that wasn't going to be seen until later down the line as well. And you can blame other things. You can blame this politician. You can blame Brexit. You can blame whatever. Regardless, this thing's still happening.
Probably all the above.
Probably
all of these things are culminating to where we are.
Mm. So it's a very, very real thing that you have to consider. And, no matter how many, even though I will occasionally do one, I might even do one this week. No matter how many, I'm looking for 5 clients posts you might put out there. It's only going to hit with a certain number of people who are already at this stage. And that's not many people. I think if anyone's done any sort of marketing course, business coaching, whatever the hell, everyone talks about the funnel and here's everyone up here and you want to narrow them down, niche them down till you get to this specific point where they're ready to buy. I think it's also a reverse pyramid, that the bottom of the pyramid, the largest chunk, is the majority of people. They're not ready to buy. They're not going to give a fuck. And it's nothing to do with your marketing. It's to do with their lifestyle, their current pains, their awareness of that pain. And as they move through different levels of their life, at some point you're going to come on their radar. But that's not going to be until much, much further up the pyramid.
Yeah.
When it's not necessarily they're ready to buy, it's they're just looking at the way to help. It's the stages of contemplation. Right?
I was about to say pre-contemplation phase, right?
Pre-contemplation,
and
actually, no?
It's being, when that person's ready, they open their email and you're the email newsletter that pops up at the top. They open Instagram, you're the person on the left-hand side of the stories. You're the top of the feed. Yeah. It's just that constant reminder, I am here when you need it, which is a hard game to play. I think another question I have for you before we go into our predictions for the year, again, and feel free to tell me you think I'm wrong in this. And I think this goes into the bubble here. But I think as a whole, if we are looking at averages, and there's some phenomenal PTs out there, I think the standard of fitness education, in particular in the UK, is getting better. And obviously, this is not just solely because I'm now in it, but we're like Pro Coach doing some good stuff in terms of teaching by doing. We have seen people like him coming into this. We have Paul Standel and the PT Project coming into this. We've got Michael Gould still doing some good stuff. In the States, you've got N1. We've got Prescript. I know they're in Canada. We've got a bunch of people at Metabolic Mental University. The standard of education is getting better. And I think on the whole, the quality of coach is getting worse. Do you agree with that statement? And if so, why do you think that is? Why is the education getting better, but the quality getting worse?
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, quality of education 100% getting better. 100%. I think the level of coaching will get worse alongside it. Now, I'll caveat this quickly as saying 5 years ago, you didn't see daisy chains in gyms. 5 years ago, you didn't see bodybuilders talking about single arm lat work on the right angle cable, or there's just a lot of, I don't want to call it optimal stuff, but a lot of smart stuff you didn't see 5 years ago, even though it existed. You didn't really see it 3 years ago. Now this education is becoming more mainstream. The relevancy of that for everyone as demographic to be debated is for certain types of people, of course. The quality of coaching is because it does require a level of education and commitment to being the best PT that you can. And if someone can just get by with this little level of knowledge, that's kind of cool, and they'll get by and they'll get their handful of clients in, and they'll have Joe that just wants to do HIIT training 5 times a fucking week and what have you. But she's happy and that's all that matters. Cool, fantastic. But there then comes a point where suddenly those clients will start asking questions about this, and they're seeing more of this on Instagram. And why aren't we doing this? And that coach over there's doing that. How comes we don't? And suddenly that bullshit battle, that bullshit ceiling is harder and harder to get through, because now it's painfully obvious that you haven't got the education or the commitment to learn more stuff. And therefore, you're going to be a little bit more disillusioned. You're still going to be harping on about the same basic level 3 stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with that. And you're going to be then looking for the shiny objects to get new clients in. And it's the old, like you did your video the other day. It's the old school mentality of, well, I'm going to get this client on the gym floor and we're going to do the craziest fucking shit so everyone can see it. It's such an old school dying off mentality that if that's the only tool in your box, no wonder your coaching's getting worse. I think there is like a big opportunity here for coaches to level up, not just in, like you can go and learn. I haven't done Prescript. I'm sure it's absolutely fucking mind-blowing. But Prescript's going to be relevant for a certain demographic of client and trainer, right?
Yeah.
So not everyone needs to go do Prescript. Not everyone needs to go N1. I had a great conversation with a friend recently who's doing it. And I just went, oh, mate, like, you'll love it. It's absolutely fantastic. And you could see in his responses that he's holding up N1 as the absolute holy grail of going to fix everything. I have to say, it's absolutely fantastic. But, and there's always a but, it's not relevant for everyone. So knowing who the fuck's in front of you, what they actually need, and how you can make sure you're staying on top of what's relevant or not, what works or not, and what they need or not is the most important thing. I don't think most coaches have the commitment to do that.
I agree with that. By the way, whilst you were speaking there, I added a 7th prediction for the year. If you saw me typing away, I wasn't being unprofessional on the show.
Come on, lad. No, not at all.
But
Come on.
I think I think there is a level of, I think because the more people are getting into the industry and more people are getting industry going straight online, and that's another episode for another day, and more people are being sold to this quick win, that more people are coming into for this. Like when we started in the industry, we didn't do it with any financial gain in mind. We did it because we liked it, because we wanted to help people. We might just about get by, right? We never saw the big bucks. Whereas people are now coming into the industry seeing the big bucks. So when the hard work is presented to them, many people shy away from it. I had a rant the other day about I'm waiting, and this is an official prediction, but I'm waiting for coaches to say that training plans don't teach you anything. And they give you an empty spreadsheet and total tonnage numbers to hit, and you got to fill in the exercise that you feel works, because there's no such thing as good and bad exercise, and we need to be inclusive of exercises, right? Like we need to make sure that we don't go low intensity or low volume. Like both are fine. It's all about sustainability, right, guys? You choose your own exercises, like if it fits your tonnage, and
if it fits your tonnage, that's amazing.
And so I'm also gonna, again, apologies for people watching this if you say, why is he writing down stuff? If it fits your tonnage is something
you market the fuck out
I've got
of
it,
now before this episode goes live.
Oh, I'm getting the most out of this. This is great. But the people have been saying that meal plans don't teach you anything for a very long time. And I am not this person whose guru says my way is the right way and everyone needs a meal plan, because that's bullshit. But I've seen a change. There was always a bit of this, but the percentage of people that used to come up with arguments I could argue and debate, but I understand the logic in the argument response. Whereas now, the first one overwhelmingly is, it would take me a lot of time to make a meal plan. Like, if someone's paying you £250 a month, you shouldn't try and be skimping on every minute. And I'm seeing this mentality in coaches right now. How can I outsource this? How can I push this aside? How can I not do this? And I get it with video editing and whatever, like the accounting, like they're out of your scope. But when you outsource things that are in your scope, I worry for the industry, because we're now looking after people's health with people that aren't really wanting people's health in mind. They're thinking big bucks. They're thinking laptops in Bali. They're thinking they care more about being on their mentor's wall of I hit 5K in a month than they care about having a transformation of their own on their grid.
Yeah, accurate. Definitely accurate.
So,
just to super quickly caveat what I said as well, is that there will also be this level of coaching that the guys who do absolutely all the education. We've seen this before. This is nothing new either. Guys that want every single certificate of this. Then they'll post about it online, and it will be constantly, here's how you can get 10% more iliac lat fiber activation using this thing, and get frustrated when no one gives a fuck. Because again, you've got to meet the client where they're at. And that has so many different layers to it. Meal plans are perfect, amazing for certain numbers of people. And if your only message is meal plans don't work, you're instantly just not, you're missing out on a lot of helping a lot of people. There's a lot of opportunity there. The people whose education will be instantly improved through the use of a meal plan for a short term.
Agreed. And I think this goes into, in a way, my first prediction. So should we kick our prediction for the 2024? As I've got 7, I'll start us off.
Do it.
I think this is going to be the year where the pendulum starts to shift. We've gone through a number of years where marketing and Canva graphics and fancy edits and pop-ups, and it's getting more and more busy, have meant that really good coaches that focus on their education are trying so hard to get a single client and are losing out to people with more social media prowess.
Yeah.
And we are starting to see a shift in YouTube in particular, that things like we're going more towards vlogs, we're going more towards more amateur content. I've seen Instagram stuff where a lot of stuff that's going really well on Reels at the moment is the music is gone. And the pop-ups, while still there, are a little bit more organic and a little bit less in your face. And I'm saying, so I'm thinking the same thing happened in the industry where we're going to start to see this pivot. We're going to see this shit online coaches will either disappear this year, or they will pivot more into life coaching or business mentoring as they realize that good coaches now are starting to be the ones that take over. Like the standard of the industry is now starting to go up, especially with people like Brian Johnson, for all the shit we've said about him on the show, for Brian Johnson bringing up like data collection and things like this. For people are now going to be starting to look at these people who are experts in this field, and people coming on, Chris Williamson and Stephen Bartlett, whatever you think of that show. We're going to see more people wanting to learn the science. If you can't keep up with that, I think you're going to disappear. I think this is the year where the good coaches are going to start to rise up and you're going to be left behind.
That's we'll talk more about this one, because that, interestingly, that is one. It wasn't my first point, but that is one of my points, is that we will see, and we've already seen this, and this has happened. It's been steadily happening over the last couple of years. The coaches that are, whether it, through whatever reason, whether it is struggling with the education, struggling to get people in, or whatever, will switch over to mindset and life coaching with a big focus on the word coaching. And they're gonna, well, they already are. They're trying to. I hate the word coaching anyway. I think there's absolutely zero wrong with calling yourself a personal trainer, whether you're in person, whether you're online, no matter what demographic you work with. If exercise is involved, you're a personal trainer, and there's absolutely fuck all wrong with that. But everyone now wants to call himself a coach, and that's fucking fine. But now the element of coaching will be stolen, hijacked from physical coaching into this mindset shift, where, again, of course, your behaviors, your decisions, your emotions drive a lot of the actions that you take, which lead to your reality, emotional, physical state. Of course it will. And there is an element of mindset coaching that is needed in there, but people will take what Paul Mort's doing, mate, this shows you how little I listen to life coaches. I can't even name others than that. But people are already stealing a lot of Paul's stuff, a hell of a lot of Paul's stuff. And things they learn off of Chris Williamson's podcast and other people who appear on those sort of things. Your Joe Dispenza, your Dr. DeMartini, that sort of thing, and they'll just regurgitate that information,
which doesn't make you an expert.
That's the thing that's going to save you. It doesn't make you a fucking
client
expert
can hear on a podcast.
Yeah, mate. If you're a life coach and you're under 30, you're bullshitting yourself and you're bullshitting people. Because most of these life lessons, they have to be implemented. You have to. Most of the stuff I talk about now came after the age of 37, after I've been through the lowest fucking point in my life. That's where the lessons came from. Whilst I'd been reading some of these books for absolutely fucking donkey's years, from 21, really, nothing was relevant. Nothing actually hit home. There were just words on a page. There were sound bites. It's not until you go through the thing you actually need that information that you go, oh my God, fuck yeah, that makes sense now. And the people who are going through those situations themselves now aren't going to learn that lesson from 25-year-old Mikey on Instagram with his ambient music in the background, or his black and white, vintage sepia toned footage of him jogging up a mountain with a voiceover. It's not going to come from that. It's going to come from the people that actually, this is their business. They've helped thousands of people through their mindset, their life coaching, their decisions, etc. It's not going to come from guys like us. And to an extent, it's not needed. Once someone makes that decision themselves and they've got a diet they enjoy that's easy to implement into their life, that's flexible, training they enjoy, that they see results from fairly quickly, not rapidly, not extreme transformation, anything like that, but fairly rapid results. And they can make that work with their family, with their busy profession. They're seeing their sex life improve, they're seeing their sleep improve, all these things. So that mindset coaching is not as fucking relevant, because not everyone wants to be fucking David Goggins. Some people will just be happy with 17% body fat, enjoying the food they eat, eating what they want at the weekend, enjoying the fuck out of their training, being stronger than their mates, and that's it. Job done.
And the when you look at these things, like action leads the mind more than the mind leads action, right? So we're doing this the way around, right? Like, unless you're going to an ayahuasca trip, like therapy takes a while. behavior change takes a while. But if I can get you training, if I can get you changing nutrition, that mindset follows really quickly because, like, you know, without making this a science podcast too much, cells, get healthy cells, that makes your brain, right? Like this shit changes. And I think, like, do therapists look at us as coaches and have the same approach, the same mindset that we have that when someone from Made in Chelsea or Louise Thompson releases a fucking diet book? Like, you go, what are you qualified to give dietary advice? You're not a dietitian. And like, we're not a fucking therapist. You've listened to one episode of Modern Wisdom and you've quoted Alex Hormozy, and all of a sudden you think that makes you an expert in that topic. You're 22. You've never had a hard time in your life. Your parents are super rich. You've got Final Cut fucking Pro. Like what?
Yeah.
Where can I relate to you?
And to me, is like a lot of problems that are caused by therapy are a constant dissection of the past, and there has to come a point where you drop that past and move towards the future and build your present as well. But again, for a lot of people, and this is why this fucking industry exists, therapy talking about the past means dealing with the issues that are causing the habits and the behaviors that you are currently exhibiting now. And you have to be able to do that. Your mindset coaching book that tells you to only focus on the future and set inspiring goals and only worry about that is not going to help the people that actually fucking need the help. It's why that industry, the psychology, psychotherapy, hypnotherapy, just general therapy exists and helps a lot of people. Let's not discount it whatsoever fucking ever. And if you're calling out therapists when you've never actually had therapy yourself, just a fucking dick. The industry helps a lot of fucking people. And I would rather someone went to therapy than went on pills.
Yes.
But I would also, the people that need to go on pills went on fucking pills. 25-year-old Mikey with his rented Audi, or the Audi that's in the gym car park that is but for another client who's just with their other PT that you're filming your reel in front of. Because I know all your fucking tricks, bro. It's not hitting home with the people that... Oh, man, I've got so much dirt. So much dirt on people.
You intro me say that people like insult therapy, and I'm just like, but I think there's an insult when you're young, and I think this is a real big problem with social media that I really hope doesn't become a prediction in 2024, but I think it probably unfortunately will do, is the spiral towards our former colleague Elliot Upton did a post where he was like, I don't know if he was shadow banner, whether he was just trying to play the Instagram game and say he was, but he didn't get much reach on a Bulgarian split squat tutorial, and he was saying that, like, but you'll champion body positivity and gender transition and things like this. But I see this where, like, I look at my content, I get loads of people telling me my content's good, and, like, again, there's room for improvement, but you've quoted me on one of them, so obviously you're watching them, which is good. My audience sees my clips. It's never pushed to more audiences. My reach to other people is more. And then I look at the people that get reach, and it's always, I don't like insert very specific person here. This person's wrong because X. I hate therapists. And there's certainly been a younger mentality. I used to be this guy, right? Criticizing doctors. Doctors don't know. They need to learn about nutrition. They just give pills. And I'm just like, when you get a bit older, I go, imagine if I could walk a mile in a doctor's shoes. They're hugely underpaid, underappreciated, overworked, probably done shift patterns, and they see someone for 5-10 minutes. They see people when it's often too late. People aren't going to the doctors when they start, like, they have a little bit of pain in their pinky. They're going to the point where their arm is green, they've got a big lump coming out of their head, and their blood sugars, like, literally, the sugars coming back out the mouth and saying, you've got diabetes and coming back in. Particularly blokes, right? Like, so we are just trying to, like, calm the fucking fire. And what I will also say is, I've seen coaches who on one reel shit on doctors and then moan about client adherence. So you speak to your clients every single day, you might see them 2-3 days a week, and you can't get them to adhere to a diet. And you're blaming a doctor for not giving lifestyle advice when he's got 5 minutes, maybe every decade with somebody. Like, I understand why they give someone a pill. Now, I'm not saying it's the right approach, but what I'm saying is I've got much more better chance of you taking your blood pressure medication than you going for 4 runs a week, eating 5 portions of fruit and vegetables, getting more hydrated, and working on meditation, stress management, and sleep for the next 30 years of your life in a 5-minute window. Like like, get off your high horse. I think there is an arrogance to this industry where we think we're better than everybody else. I don't think I'm better
Massive.
than a doctor. I haven't done 4 years of medical
Huge.
school. What
Yeah.
the fuck do I know?
Mate, everyone who's calling out doctors, funnily enough, they're not calling out nurses. And a large percentage of nurses are overweight. And I know people that are working with them. I've had a couple of clients before that were nurses, and I'll be brutally honest, I wasn't the guy for them. It was too hard for me because I was battling against things that are well out of their fucking control.
Yeah.
And it's all very well for me to say, oh, you can prep your protein in a lunchbox and you've got that in the snack ready for when you've got that 5-minute break instead of going to the desk where there's biscuits and everything. The time it takes her to walk to the fucking hospital end where the fridge is, she hasn't got that time. It's so frustrating.
Hold on. You're giving them protein. Mate, make this so much easier for yourself. Just give them macros and a total tonnage target and just send them on their day. And like they'll work it out. Like this is how they learn, right? They have problems. You don't help them with their problems, and they just learn to work it out. That's real coaching.
I gave them my Huel 10% discount code. Nothing. They didn't even use it.
Give me that because I'd like that.
Pointless waste of my time. Really, I still can't stand it. Still can't taste it. I can't. I don't think they're good. But that's me. But you're quite right. The arrogance of our industry. Who am I to sit here and say Huel is terrible when so many people fucking love it? It's in all the shops for a reason. It's filling a need. It hits protein. People enjoy the taste. Who the fuck am I to sit here and say Huel's a load of rubbish? I can't. So I don't. I just say I don't like it.
And it's also better than the alternative, right? Like if you're going to a train station, you've got Burger King and Mackey's and all these things, right? Like, look, I have an option that is like, yeah, it's not the most optimal source of protein, and there's a few starches that I probably would be slightly questionable for like taste benefits, but they taste pretty good. They hit omega-3 ratios pretty nicely. They are relatively filling with the amount of fiber. They have a bunch of greens in them, which again, it's not as good as eating vegetables, but you're not going to buy a pack of broccoli from Marks and Spencer's in a train station. So like, it gives people an option.
Yeah,
of course. I never valued how good options were until I moved to Hong Kong, and there weren't any.
Yeah, we cannot fault that at all. And like I say, until you're in it, like Hong Kong where there's no fucking options. A nurse where you literally haven't got time. And when you go home, you are so knackered and distraught. Meal prep is the last thing on your flipping mind. Getting to bed at a decent time is the last thing on your mind because you wouldn't mind just having a phone call with mates or doom scrolling on Instagram a little bit. And who the fuck would blame you? Because what you've dealt with today, Jesus, you probably need to escape reality a little bit.
100%.
And the people that are calling out doctors aren't calling out overweight nurses. And if they were to end up in hospital for any flipping reason, suddenly they'd be listening to the doctor, right? They're not going to be looking at the overweight doctor going, I'm taking what you've just described because look at you and look at me and
like I'd like to see I'd like to see how many people before we move on to your first one, like how many people who are saying this now, criticizing doctors, if touch wood they don't, but if they got cancer, they wouldn't go, sorry doc, I'm not taking the meds, I'm going to go keto.
Yeah.
And I don't get me wrong, touch wood, if that happened to me, I would probably also go keto. But I'm not going to turn down the advice of the people that know more about this than I do. Because I know my place in this ecosystem. I'm a personal trainer. I'm proud of it. So going into your first prediction, because we went hard on that one. What is your first one?
We kind of agreed on that one, didn't we? So as we spoke about life coaching, I have to scrap that because I kind of already did that. This one's so fucking small and stupid. More labels, more pointless fucking labels of shit that people have been doing for decades, if not centuries, that no one actually gives a fuck about. We're now seeing cold plunging, mainstream cold plunging. Russell Kane did an incredible video the other day about breath work. It's just breathing, you can't. Fucking hell, that destroyed me because I'm instantly just picturing. You can see the people. You can see the people that are talking about it. I saw something the other day. Forest bathing. What the fuck's forest bathing? There's me picturing finding a stream or a lake in a forest, getting your kit off, sitting in it, bathing. It's just time in a forest, just time in nature. So time outdoors, away from the city. That's all it is. But it's now forest bathing.
The big one this year.
I reckon we will.
I'll call it the big one this year, and I appreciate that at this moment in time. I am fueling this one myself. I am as much to blame and I got into a playful dispute with Paul Standall the other day about this. I put up a post of me doing more aerobic cardio work. Before I call it.
Huge.
And then Paul Standall talks about, you're just doing cardio, mate. It's not zone 2. Zone 2 is going to be the thing. And I am hook, line, and sinker in it.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my zones. I'm doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
I've got my heart rate monitor. I've got my polar app out. But this is the one that all coaches, including myself, ashamedly, is going to be banging on about. It's zone 2 cardio because and that links to my next one, by the way, because Peter Attia is talking about it.
Yeah. Again, it's that's funny enough because that kind of leads on to my next one anyway, and it's something I'm doing myself as well. So, zone 2 cardio.
We're part of this prediction. So I agree with you. It's going to be. We should be ashamed of ourselves.
It's going to be the new label. Are you zone 2ing? Are you zone 2? I did a run the other day. Was it zone 2? Like, that's going to be the thing now. Zone 2 bad is someone's going to call it the zone 2 protocol or something stupid. This stuff's been around for decades. If you really want to know about, if you wanted someone to go back and someone was interested in this stuff, who would you send them back to read about?
What, in terms of cardiovascular work?
In terms of cardiovascular, aerobic base,
Joel
endurance,
Jameson.
that type of thing. Joel Jameson, perfect. Great fucking shout. For me, Joel Jameson, without a doubt. Phil Maffetone as well.
Oh, yeah,
no one talks about Phil Maffetone anymore, right? No one talks about it. All this stuff has been around a long fucking time. And it's nothing mind-blowing unless you never knew it to begin with. You're taught about zone 2 and aerobic base building on your level 3 course. How many people have forgotten that? How many people didn't listen because it wasn't about hypertrophy? How many people were just there to get the fucking certificate and then go get their Pure Gym contract where they told, or Gym Box, and they were told they were going to make loads of fucking money? You didn't fucking listen. And I know you didn't listen because I was the cunt teaching it. So I know you didn't fucking listen. I'm seeing people now. There's not many of them. PTs are on my courses talking about zone 2 now like it's this grand new fucking thing. And I'm going,
Do you think
where you were in the classroom?
There's going to be an invention this year, and it might already be invented, I've no idea, but I think it'll be coming to the stratosphere maybe this year, where people will be taking like those VO2 masks, right, and making them easier to use, more like layman usability, and without, because we don't need a big Douglas bag anymore, like I remember because I'm old. But they have a mask, they get used to the air, they put a thing in. Do you think those will become cheaper and more easier to understand, linked to an app? I think I see that coming this year.
Way more accessible. And this is kind of, I know I'm jumping from one to the next here, but this kind of fits in with one of my things as well, what the biggest trend in the industry for me would end up being.
Oh, I think I know what mine links into that as well. Should we do our next? Should we do our next two? I do mine. You do yours straight after. Then we'll talk about it because we'll talk about which one's more likely to
carries on with this. Carries on with this anyway. Go on.
So, my next one is it is inspired by what I think is going to be the trend of the year, and also someone on my Instagram that is. I'm sorry if you listen to this, but you're being a fucking idiot. A coach that is trying to get in shape, eating Dominoes every day, and thinks this is a good message to be shared, right?
Mate, now, again, so old and stupid. It's been done a million fucking times.
And I'd also say with this, but what he always talks about on his Insta, this is his big marketing thing. He's like, every start of every video, hi, I am the UK's youngest personal trainer. Like, inexperience is a flex. Hi, I'm really shit at my job. Come follow me, right? Like, and then, do you know what? I think like the kid's being a moron, and I don't think the kid's an idiot. I don't think he's an idiot. I think he does know stuff. I think he's gone too far down the calories in versus calories out wormhole. I think he's a very metabolically healthy young kid who doesn't really understand.
He's the youngest PT, then his metabolism is going to be through the roof. He's going to have decent level of muscle mass on him probably. Hormones will be absolutely fucking fantastic. Geezer can eat what he wants because he's young, right? Yeah. Young, active, healthy male.
So that leads
why is he starting his videos with that?
I don't know, but this leads me on to my prediction. In 2024, we will see the rise of the 18-year-old longevity coach. But like, I think longevity is going to be the thing. I think Brian Johnson's going to start a revolution, and there is. Look, I've got Peter Attia's book there. I've got Cracking the Metabolic Code there. I'm into it. I'm in my 30s. I'm into it. I want to be like, but I'm now starting to see that people are jumping on this bandwagon. I'm going to see people at 18 years old talking about how to live longer when you barely even started living in the first place. So that's my shit. I think longevity is going to be the trend.
I like that. I like that. That's fucking great. I mean, that's so. that's relevant to something I'd written down anyway. We're seeing biohacking availability, understanding
It's just
increase,
that's a great point. You mentioned a second ago that all this stuff is old, right? Which we all know. None of the tracking data for longevity is new, but it's the biohacking thing again. It's now not called biohacking; it's called longevity. It's the same shit.
Because 10 years ago, biohacking was taking like your own nootropic stack that might resemble something out of Limitless, or the talk about trackers and barcode scanners in your fingers. This was biohacking back then. Biohacking's just, well, what's the simplest way of putting it? It's just a science-based approach to performance and health. Let's call it that. That's all it is, which is what regular performance and health protocols should be anyway. They should be science-based within reason. Or they should be science-informed. Let's not get that wrong. Yeah. So I think we are going to see big things here, because essentially the sort of stuff Peter Attia is talking about, and I've a lot of love for the guy. I absorb a lot of the stuff. Huberman as well. Huberman, absolutely huge. We're looking at a lot of this stuff as biohacking. Tim Spector's blood glucose monitors, in a way, that's biohacking. All these things of getting a greater understanding of what's happening behind the scenes of your body, and utilizing science and technology to help improve that is essentially what biohacking is, right? And it's just changed. It's just changed over the last 10 years. But we're now going to see more interest in this, more people with the money, more the angel investors pushing the protocols, the programs, the technology that's going to allow you to do this. So I reckon we're going to see those sort of things, VO2 testing, altitude testing, blood glucose testing, whatever the hell it is, get a hell of a lot more available and a lot cheaper. I would 100% agree with you on that, on the biohacking front. My one, funnily enough, kind of feeds into that anyway, because people will be using these methods. I think the biggest fitness industry trend is going to be the rise of the hybrid athlete.
I think that's already there.
It's so big. Beyond High Rocks. I think beyond High Rocks, man. Because one of my goals for this year, this stupid fucking mountain event, which is going to be very, very powerful and hopefully raise a lot of money for a very good cause, has led me to go, well, I have no aerobic base and I don't do much hill training. I need to understand my lactate. I need to understand these things. So now training priorities have to change. Education has to be retaught. I have to be reminded rather than learning new things.
The same as me.
And I have to take action on these things and test it out for what works for me. So I'm going into the right research. I'm following the right people. I'm following people who are doing what I want to do. And my entire algorithm instantly changed. I had no idea how many of these guys are out there. And you can already see the split off in the industry between the ones who are doing the right thing and the ones that are just jumping on the bandwagon and promoting whatever, because again, they're young or whatever.
I can see the slogan. I can see the slogan now. Don't be average. Be average.
Be average. Do you know Fergus Crawley?
I know the name.
So he's Omnia Performance, he's called. Okay. His company's called. Him and a guy called Jonathan Payne. Fantastic. Like, great examples of, if that's the route you want to go down, if you want to run long distances and climb mountains and still lift like an absolute fucking giant and have a decent level of muscle mass on you, two of the greatest people you can go and follow. Absolutely fantastic. And one of the things he seriously says is that this hybrid athlete means it's not quite like CrossFit, calling yourself elite and you're just never going to be amazing at any one thing. It's kind of foregoing the quest to be like the best at this one thing and getting a greater, way above average ability to do X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
Rather than just trying multiple things out. And he did a fantastic, I can't remember the comedian's names, like an Instagram
my problem
comedian.
is with the, because I like the hybrid athlete style for people that know they're not going to be the best bodybuilder in the world. They haven't got the genetics for it. The ship has sailed for them being the best athletes. I think this is a good way of training, because you can run and pick up your kids and you can look good on the beach. But I think the people that are going to have the biggest voices in a similar way to bodybuilding are going to be the people that are doing this also filled up with tren. And I see people that are jacked, shredded, and look like bodybuilders say, no, I train like a hybrid athlete. It's like, yeah, right. I know what people look like that actually train like hybrid athletes, and they don't look like you. And now and the worry I have with this is that people are now they're going to be convinced, because they're going to put up transformations, that this is the way. And again, there's an element of truth to this. I like building people's aerobic base. I like strength is going to be important for longevity. There's going to be a bunch of things like this, but it's what I worry is that people are going to be conned into thinking a more generic, less efficient way of training is going to get them to the goals, because this influencer who's trend up to his eyeballs looks like this, and actually, like, look, your goal is is hypertrophy. Let's be more tailored to this before we start to try and be good at everything. Like jack of all trades, master of nothing.
Yeah. I think the issue we're going to have to see with High Rocks, I reckon the day will come where High Rocks participants are nothing but PTs. It won't be general public doing it. It'll be nothing but PTs. And I'm seeing it already. Gyms that are now High Rocks partners, what that means exactly, I don't know. People that are putting High Rocks coaching out there. And there will be a handful, as there always are, of great ones who could probably get you a decent time at the High Rocks competition, which essentially is just CrossFit, right? The level of understanding of those different energy systems is harking back to what we've already spoke to. The majority of the industry ain't going to understand it. So what are you going to get? You're going to get a high intensity home training program, probably 5 times a week, which is more HIIT than you ever fucking need in your lifetime. And a complete ignorance of the aerobic base or explosive power, or not even understanding how you even build an aerobic base and explosive power at the same time, two opposite ends of the spectrum that actually are detrimental to each other. So that takes a greater understanding and a lot of experience of testing things out with people to get someone to a point where they can run ultra marathons and still be explosive. It's not going to exist, right?
Talking about ignorance, like going on to my next one, talking about ignorance and talking about sort of like people, almost this counterintuitive sort of thing. My next one is based on what I think will be the big talking point of the year. So this will be the trend. People will be doing this. People will be talking about this. But the biggest debate of the year, following on from things like Tim Spector and people looking at blood glucose and things like this, and following on from everyone all of a sudden releasing blood test courses where people don't understand fucking hormones and they want to learn bloods. Like, what a waste. I've got a reel coming out about this today. Waste of money. Sorry, Jake Carter. I like what you do. And I don't think, and before anyone thinks, oh, you're calling out Jake Carter, and the timing of this reel is very true. I'm calling it out because he's posting a course about it. And I'm not trying to knock, because I really like what he does. I think there is a time and a place where coaches, if they want to upscale their knowledge and want to learn a bit about bloods, it can be a great tool in your toolbox. But I think it's shiny object syndrome for many, where they are jumping on the bandwagon of something they don't understand the foundations in order to do it. It's like when people were trying to learn advanced physics 5 years ago without really understanding how force works. So here's my thing. Supplementation will be the big talking point again, as coaches either double down on calories in versus calories out only, while others want to become functional medicine doctors in 24 hours. We're going to see the people doing this saying that these supplements are really important and that's going to help with inflammation and all this sort of sciencey stuff that some of them will be bang on the money with, and some of them will not understand. That'll be buzzwords and mentors. And then the calories in versus calories out brigade, a little bit like the Diver CEO group, this will expand to beyond Bartlett. They will fight back and go, no, supplements are pointless. And here's the key thing. They will both be wrong. That's my prediction.
I like that one. The supplement industry has always fascinated me, or the voices around the supplement industry, both dissenting and pro, because there are some pro supplement people that, again, go too far, stuff you do not flipping need. There's a big thing I'm seeing at the moment, L-carnitine, the injectable L-carnitine for not the not acetyl L-carnitine, not nootropic, injectable L-carnitine, which is alleged to help with fat mobilization, things
and
like
it's subcutaneous, right? You're not
subcutaneous.
Yeah, so it's going to your stomach.
And there's a big push at the moment that this can be something that helps androgen receptor sensitivity, right? So someone could have a good level of hormone production and testosterone in their blood, but if the androgen receptor sensitivity is low, then you're not going to absorb most. Fan-fucking-tastic, right?
Yeah,
of course,
fair enough.
Of course, to get that test to know if your androgen receptor sensitivity is low is $1,000. So nowhere near available for most people. So no one's actually doing this test, if I can tell anyway. And it turns out that's purely genetic. You can't change that. You cannot fucking change that.
Yeah.
But there's a push, especially on Twitter at the moment. Well, injectable L-carnitine will help increase it. Well, how do you fucking know that? Because it's saying you can't change it because of genetic. That bit's the proven bit. The tests around it are pretty fucking expensive. There won't be a massive client pool. There won't be a huge database of case studies to show this is the case. But now everyone goes, injectable L-carnitine. Cool. And now I'm seeing constant pushes about injectable L-carnitine. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be the guy who sits there and goes, injectable carnitine does nothing for. I'm never going to be that guy, because for some people it will work, and supplements my rabbit hole anyway. So of course, but you're quite those voices either side of the spectrum will only get louder and louder, especially as social media enables the volume of those voices to travel. You know.
Yeah, and I won't go too far into the weeds of my views of supplementation. That could be a whole episode. But I will quickly go into why I think both accounts will be wrong. I think we are seeing a world now where we're having more and more processed food, which means our omega-6 to omega-3 ratios are going to become more and more out of whack. We are seeing testosterone rates decline at a rapid rate, as you know about, thanks to many reasons, causing lack of sleep, highly stressed, and the increase of processed foods that has. People will talk about pesticides not being harmful, but we have irrefutable proof that, like, the toxic burden, let's say, of people now is causing these highly. We're seeing estrogens. Nothing wrong with estrogen as the hormone, but these estrogens in our plastics and our water bottles and our pesticides and our sprays and our perfumes and our deodorants. This rise come up that testosterone normal levels on blood tests have declined. So we're seeing these things where people now aren't as healthy. 50 years ago, the idea of a multivitamin, it's like, yeah, maybe, but whatever, right? Because we can get it from our food. We can't get it from our food. And people are in a hole. So we need to get people up to here. For people who are listening to this in audio, we need to get people up to an even keel, a baseline first. So also people are more devoid of nutrients than before. A tomato could be bigger with less nutrients than 20 years ago. So more people are nutrient deficient, which is causing stress on the body, causing inflammation. So we need supplementation. We don't need it, but it is very advantageous to have supplementation to address this balance as quickly as possible to get people in a better health state quickly. Now, on the flip side of that, people will go so far down that wormhole, and then clients will get like 400 supplements on day one, and they will get stuff that they and I'm not even saying that those supplements aren't worthwhile, but most coaches, the problem is that coaches will prescribe without knowing it. They'll learn that Cass uses certain supplements, or Vince Pitstick uses certain supplements, and go, well, I'm using them. I'm like, well, do you know how they work? Do you know what they do? Do you know the pathways you're influencing? Because there is always a knock-on effect of everything. Like nothing comes without cons. So this is where I think both are wrong. Do you want to go into your next one? I've got one that's sort of kind of a follow-up to that one, but like, if you've got, like, feel free to jump in with your one.
It's funny, super quickly. It's funny that you said, like, there will be a lot of the people that call out doctors that are also, you use the perfect word, will be prescribing supplements. Perfect way of putting it. What a funny fucking, what a crazy world we live in, right? My laptop crashed, so I'm waiting for it to.
Should I do mine?
This is why you write things down on paper, people, not on your fucking laptop.
Should I do? You got it.
It's similar to High Rocks we've already spoken about, and kind of along the lines of the hybrid athlete thing we were talking about. The popularity of CrossFit is declining, but yet Google searches for HIIT training are rapidly increasing.
Interesting.
So people are moving away from the CrossFit model.
Do you mean Zone 5?
People are zone 5ing, 5 maxing, zone 5 maxing with a double X in the max. So people are seeking out. So HIIT's becoming popular again.
Interesting.
And obviously, HIIT is one training modality that works, like I say, in zone 5 or zone 4 to an extent, depending on what you're doing, and should be complementary. This is my view of it. Should be complementary amongst any sort of training program, regardless of what the goal. It shouldn't ever be the main focus. Super fucking difficult to recover from. Not very specific in terms of the greater energy systems and body composition, etc. but yeah, it's becoming super popular again. So I think that we're going to see a resurgence of HIIT training gyms, HIIT classes, HIIT programs online, where it's going to be 4, 5, 6 days a week of HIIT training, because the big sell will be, here's how you get in shape in only 20 minutes a day.
And also,
which is
here's high rocks for people that can't do your big squat, bench, and deadlifts. How do I take that popularity of high rocks and put it into something that doesn't require the skill set of a high rocks athlete?
Hell yeah. Yeah. We should come up with this. Why aren't we doing it first?
I don't want to do a HIIT class. It's not a chance.
Millionaires overnight. Let's call it the Zone 5. I don't know.
You'll like my next one. You'll like my next one
box.
a lot. More, and I want to clear the next word, is good. More good health advice will be labeled as conspiracies in 2024. We are seeing this already. I've seen a number of articles already about studies, like bias studies being pulled. We've seen and that's normally from the people that say, like, look, like this health stuff might not be conspiracy, but they're fighting back against articles saying how to, like, examine.com did one, how to spot health conspiracies in 2024. It is the thing, and it's going to be, and we're seeing Netflix with this anti-red meat agenda, and like all not all conspiracies. That's not accurate. Like many conspiracies, the agendas are suspect, and the level of truth in them. The more I get deeper into these rabbit holes and tinfoil hats in general and all out of the news, you realize there's a lot to these things, and often like the stuff that's labeled as conspiracy is true. Like red meat being good for you now is a conspiracy theory. Salt being beneficial is a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
You know, like seed oils. If you talk about seed oils and plant oils and plant defense chemicals and seed oils causing issues, you're a conspiracy theorist. Well, I've just established, and I can throw up tons of data if you want to see it, of omega-6 to omega-3 ratios. And so it's not that seed oils are bad, but we're over consuming them. You're missing the point. But I think we're going to see a lot of things being labeled as conspiracy rather than actually doing the healthy thing and looking at the pros and cons of every argument.
Yeah. And this is the same battle as, like you said, about supplements, etc. You've got your Lane Nortons, who are great at bringing up the research articles about this particular thing. And then you've got the people, the other side of the argument, that will say that study's flawed. Well, you've got to look at who funded it. Oh, you're bought and sold by Big Pharma and things like that, without looking at what's actually fucking relevant here. But then you've also got the people who want to be like the Lane Nortons, that brings up all the studies and all the links and all the PubMed articles and things like that, without realizing that some of those studies aren't done on general population. Some of those studies, fantastic, show this point about this particular type of person
and the bell curve,
individual, and the bell curve.
So the individual isn't taking the majority, account, right? But not the outliers, which you might have all time might be the outlier.
Yeah, and of course they might be. There was a great thing. I don't know if it was the other. I saw a cut and paste job of it. I don't know if this was recent or old, where Dorian Yates has commented on Lane Norton's post about something, and he said those studies are flawed. And Lane Norton has said, what makes you come to that conclusion? And Dorian Yates' comment is, I don't know if it's the real Dorian. I assume it is made in the real Dorian Yates. Dorian Yates has commented back just saying 6 times Mr. Olympia. That's it. And then Lane's come back saying, I appreciate your accomplishments, but that doesn't necessarily mean. And to an extent, both are kind of correct. You can't just say Dorian Yates is being a kid. Oh, that's a fantastic fucking response. I pissed myself laughing. Both are kind of correct in that arena, you know. Like, you can come to the table with all the studies, and it's important that we do. But it's also important, if you are the person, I'm not saying this is Lane Norton at all, if you are the person that is bringing that sort of stuff, that's going to be your thing now, then make sure you understand how to read these things, what conclusions should be drawn from it, rather than just looking at the headline or the first paragraph on PubMed, and how relevant it is to the people that you're promoting this for. I had an argument last year with this kid that made a claim about the most important thing for your workout for for hypertrophy is your intra-workout carbs, and I called him out on it, and he blocked me at first. And then the article he later gave me, apart from the first paragraph, when you went into it, actually came out saying like it was less than a percent, the difference between, and I can't remember, this was just about a year ago now. And it kind of led you to the actual conclusion that, okay, it can help, but way more research and study and understanding is needed to say this is definitely conclusively the case. And certain trials that were in this meta-analysis were based on low-grade evidence. And when I said this to him, his response is, "So you're just doing this for clout. I've given you the highest grade statistical evidence available, and you're still calling it out.
You don't have to read the studies."
But you haven't, because down here is all this stuff saying that most of this was built on low-grade evidence. So it's cool. I love Lane Norton. I love that sort of thing. But it's so easy to then look at that as your guru and PubMed as your basis of education, rather than using the person in front of you as your basis of education and time and experience testing things out with
and
them.
also understanding how things work. I when I say evidence informed, and that's become a bit of a line, thanks to quite rightfully, thanks to Mr. Lehman.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I look at the evidence informed thing, and what I mean by that is like, right, if I understand how hormone pathways work, if I understand a little bit of how the brain works, if I understand how fat loss actually occurs, if I was like, I can probably work out things based off how the body works. Now, I will then use evidence and science to see if these things are actually statistically relevant. So this doesn't mean that this thing couldn't do this thing. Right. Adrenaline, noradrenaline are the catecholamines are the things that we need to mobilize fat from the cell, right? We also know that if insulin is high, fat cannot be mobilized, because insulin is going to be a storage hormone, and as insulin goes up, cortisol goes down. Right? So I look at that alone. Imagine there was no science. I could go, well, if I ramp up coffee and like ephedrine and stimulants, and I do fasted cardio, that could lead to better fat loss results. It would also be an argument for low carbohydrate diets. If we go to the research on those things, you'll realize that maybe it's not that important, that statistically significant, that fasted cardio is better than fed cardio, or that a low carb diet beats a high carb diet. And we can talk about the pros and cons of why that happens. But because of that evidence informed nature, it doesn't mean that for a client who wants to lose 5 pounds, that research is compelling enough to go, do you know what? It probably doesn't matter when you do your cardio. Like, the theory is great, but like in reality, it doesn't map out. But if someone is a bodybuilder wants to lose, like, get the last 3% off, do you know what? I could probably make great effect of using that tool, because there is logic to that. And like I can also then go, okay, well, this is the reason why low carb might be better for somebody, but this is the reason why high carb is better from a factor for a muscle preservation thing, for an upregulation in thyroid output, and that in turn can have a better impact on fat loss. I can tell you why both things might work and might not, and when each of those tools are going to be, which lever am I going to pull, rather than going, calories, mate. It's just calories. Like whatever you can sustain. But like what the client thinks they can sustain, what they can actually sustain is very different. That comes from knowing an individual and playing around with things, and they might not know the answer to their problem. They might not know the solution. So I'm going to put my last two together. They are different, but they kind of go into the same thing of where I think I'll see the actual personal training industry. So the first one is that online packages, and I've already started to see this, will shift more towards group coaching as the Tories fuck us more and the economy goes downhill and people haven't got so much money, we'll go to like low ticket, high volume group programs, right? This will encourage further business mentors to tell coaches to do less work and take steps away from their program and make it more automated. Whilst this happens, because of this rise of shit PTs, we'll also see an increase at the start of the year of a rise of business mentors at the start of January and February. Say things like, are you tired of counting reps on the gym floor? You're just the rep counter, says the business mentor who clearly was a terrible personal trainer, right? And we will then see in the second quarter to the end of the year, the gym floor personal training have a comeback. Whether it actually comes back in terms of more trainers will go onto the gym floor, but there will certainly at the very least be the catalyst, the kickstart of voices from, hold on, we are more than just fucking rep counters, and we deserve the recognition that we deserve. And you will see it. I've always seen, like, Shapeshifters, one of my mentors, Ant, is fighting back of the benefits of one-to-one training over online. And I'm not saying he's the revolution. He's not Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. But I think there'll be a start underpinning of one-to-one PTs and go, hold on, I'm tired of this.
Yeah, I know PTs that have been doing one-to-one stuff through every rise and fall of the industry so far. When money's been great and when it's been an absolute struggle, and you think, shit, what am I going to have to do? I'll go into recruitment, as many PTs who left the industry went into. I know guys that have been doing this for over 20 years, if not longer than that, if not 30 and 40 years, and they absolutely love it. It is an intensely rewarding thing to do if you're good at it. If you're bored of counting reps, you're not a personal trainer, you are a rep counter. In which case, what the fuck are you doing with your sessions? I don't quite see it how it will happen, but I do agree. I think there'll be more of a return to one-to-one personal training. The business mentors aren't going to understand this, so it's all going to be about group online coaching, even though none of them have ever run a successful group online coaching business. So how they're going to teach that, I don't know. It's going to be the same methods that they were teaching before, and they'll just use the word group instead and give everyone the same PDF and do a group check-in call with absolutely everyone. And
I don't know. Here's how I
$3,000
think
for the
it.
year.
I think people are going to be personal trainers are going to realize that their high tickets aren't making them any money anymore. And I'm not saying if you're good, you'll make money. You charge what you want and you will make it. But the average online coach will realize that they're not getting the same amount of footfall with clients. So remember I said about the average online coach will disappear? So the average online coach will disappear. And this is the way I think it'll happen. They won't be getting as many sales. So what they think is, okay, people can't afford it. So I'm going to start doing a group program. Because they do generally care, although they haven't invested in their education enough to care, but they care about the service. They don't want, maybe it's because of more of their ego. This is bringing the whole podcast together, this. They will not understand how to run a group program. Their mentor also went over to run a group program, and they don't want to take themselves away and automate this. So what they're going to do is they're going to add 50 extra check-ins to their diary that they can't manage. They become overwhelmed and burnt out. And at the same time, the one-to-one personal trainer is now speaking up on Instagram saying, hey, I'm not a rep counter. This is why one-to-one PT is good. They will make less and less money. They will struggle more and more and more. And there'll be more people on their Instagram feed that are talking about gym floor PT as a viable training option. And then those coaches will go into one-to-one PT as a fallback from I've hit the floor. It will become the new recruitment. And what will happen there, it will flip around again, and the good personal trainers will make these guys look even worse. That's how I think it'll happen.
To any PTs that are listening to this, and this is why you shouldn't compare yourself to anyone, certainly since the rise of online. The first coaches I were learning from were all American strength coaches with packed gyms, with clients in their videos, with legitimate proof right there that they can do what they say they can do when it comes to running a business. Now you've got online coaches with hundreds of thousands of followers that cannot sell a £97 product to save their life. So they are doing other things and relying on other people and worrying about getting famous when they can't even sell a £97, whatever the hell it is, coaching, PDF, whatever the fuck. Like, that's pretty flipping bad. And these are the people you're comparing yourself to and you're worried about, and you're trying to copy what they're doing because they've got the followers and they're still giving the illusion that they've got hundreds of clients and things like that when they absolutely haven't. This industry's absolutely fucked. And there's so much smoke and mirrors going on in terms of that part of the industry. So don't fucking be one of those people. Focus on what is best for you. What works for you. If it's one-to-one PT, fantastic. Incredibly rewarding, like we've already said. If you work better as an online person, then make sure you're the best online flipping people, put an online coach out there. And if you're not getting the clients in, you're not showing you're the best. You're too busy entertaining and trying to show off something to someone else that you really shouldn't care about. I would absolutely love a return to one-to-one over online, because I think it's going to help more people, and the people that need the help are going to move that direction anyway. super quickly go on to my one. I don't think the AI industry is going to disrupt the fitness industry this year. I don't think so. Because I think a lot of PTs are scared that this will be, we'll have robot personal trainers. We won't. That everyone's just going to type stuff into Chat GPT and get their program and they won't need a trainer. They won't. The shit PTs will be going into Chat PT going, give me a strength program for this client. It doesn't matter if they do that or not because that client's not going to follow it because they're a shit PT.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be this AI overhaul yet. The AI is going to work better in the tech industry side of the health and fitness industry, wearables, things like that. Of course it is. But that's not going to destroy the personal training industry in the slightest, certainly not for a while. So don't worry about AI. Don't worry about that. Unless you see a use for that in your business, whether that is in terms of programming, whether that is in terms of just automation and productivity type thing, fantastic, play around with it, make sense too, don't be left behind. But don't be worrying about that. The people who need your help are still out there. They're not looking at AI options to improve their health. Because if they're not even looking at they're not even on the pills and the injections yet, they're not worrying about AI. The people on the pills and injections are one step further. They're the people we can help.
I think this year we might get more personal trainers rallying against AI, not because they feel it's going to take their jobs, but because I think that's now business. I've seen business mentors start getting this as like, here's the ways that AI can help your business in terms of writing copy and emails and all good stuff. But we're now going to see lazy personal trainers lean on it. And unfortunately, the lazy personal trainers are the majority of the industry, not the minority of the industry.
Yeah.
You know, like I had in here, just to without going into it too much with it, one of mine was, where is it? More people will say they don't have the money for education when they also pay a business mentor £500 per month. Right? We'll see more of this. These personal trainers that don't want to pay to get better at their job, they want to pay to market their terrible job. Will lean it too much, and we're going to see good personal trainers going, I don't like this AI thing.
Yeah.
Give you better service. And we're going to see this fight.
Yeah.
Isn't it a shame that fights and tribes have been dominated this episode? But it will happen.
True. But this has been the case since Terminator came out. We've recognised we're always going to have this pushback against machines, but it's not just machines.
It's not just been machines this episode, right? There's been fights about everything. We've had fights about supplements. We've had fights about PTs versus online coaches. We've had group coaching versus high ticket coaching. We've had life coaches versus other people. We've had calories in versus calories out versus blood work. Isn't it such a shame that the message of this, like, from this predictions thing we've had today, is that no one can agree on anything, and we're just going to fight.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's human nature as well in itself. I could put have I got anything? No, I haven't. I was going to look for my most alpha male cap to put on and go, well, war is a part of humanity, and if you're not the prey, if you're not the predator, then you're the prey, or something stupid like that.
I'll give you a David Comments motivational quote. If you're not funny and entertaining, James Smith's business course won't help you.
If you're not prepared to try and market to absolutely everyone out there, not any sort of specific person with a very low ticket, and I'm sure it's pretty cool. It's James Smith thing's not going to help you, because the biggest, like, James Smith's course should be consistency. Chapter 1, consistency for a 15-year period.
Have really good chat. It's an element of geneticness to it. Like, not chat, but like, he's had the right environments. He's funny. Like, there's going to be so many people in this course who aren't James Smith.
It's again, like, to be struggling PTs will say, well, this must be the thing then, because there's all these scammy business mentors. But James Smith is one of the biggest people on the fucking planet. He could sell out, theaters in America. That's what I want to do. Well, why do you want to do that? Why do you want to do it? You could sell out theaters doing something very, very different. So do you want to be the best PT you can? Because I would say James Smith is not the best PT that he could be.
Neither would he.
But neither would he. And rightly so, right?
Yeah, fair. So, I like James. People give him James a lot of stick. James is very unapologetic. This is who I am and this is who I'm not. Fair enough.
Respectable. I don't like the guy, but I respect him. Those are two very, very, very different things. I respect him and what he's done and what he can do. And he continues to surprise me yet. Fantastic. I probably would invest in his business course over most other people's. But I know, at least he's coming out that he has a successful business.
Yes.
He has multiple successful businesses. that instantly puts him ahead of the curve of 90% of your business mentors out there. But as with all these things, there's flaws in there, and it's not for me. And if it's not for me, why should I worry about it? Are you going to see a video from me shitting on James Smith's business course? No. Apart from these 20 seconds here, I'm not going to mention it again, probably.
Yeah.
I might do.
Awesome, man. So I think we've righted the industry here. Well, at least prepared people for what's to come.
Deep.
So if people want
the first one, we went deep.
Yeah. So if people want to kind of hear more about these evolving ways the industry is going, with a few real conspiracies and a few conversations about tits being everywhere, where are people finding you?
Come find me on Fat Loss Fastlane, where I'm going to tone that shit down a little bit, because I realise that is the page.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Like that's like telling James Smith to stop being funny. Do not do that.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to recognise that I have got caught up in this. I had a couple of viral reels last year, but I recognise it fucked my account. And so what I tried to do was then just put more educational stuff in there, still being myself, still trying to be funny and as edgy as I can be, and trigger a few people at the same time, without actually showing the other side of, here's what you can do that's actually going to help you. So I am going to come at it more from an angle. This is the thing that will help you, but I can't do it seriously. There's no way, there's no hope for me.
Good.
I cannot do it seriously. Put me on all the SSRIs, the Ritalin, lock me in a room, in a dark room for a year. I'll still come outside of it.
I've got the Ritalin for you.
Seriously. Oh, fantastic. Let's go, man. Let's do it. I'm on.
Mate, good to get these back going again. And for anyone, again, if you've listened this far, and tell us in the comments below, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on a clip on Instagram, tell us what your predictions for 2024. We'd love to hear them. And as always, the YouTube thing, we're playing the game, right? If you could subscribe, so many of you aren't subscribed but watch us. So if you could subscribe, that'd be great. And if you could share,
it's 2 seconds,
so we can get like more amazing guests on. Let's get Lane Norton and have these arguments. Let's put Paul Saladino on and chat seed oils for an hour. Let's get James Smith on and talk about fucking used energy drink and how the ingredients don't work. But this comes from you guys. So if you've enjoyed this, please share it, please subscribe, and then follow Fastlane, Kingsley on Instagram, and I'll catch you all next week. Rob, pleasure as always. Thank you for listening to the Self-Made Podcast. If you're like me and like binge watching podcast episodes, click here to watch our latest episode. Or if you want to stay in touch and find out when the next episode goes live, click here to subscribe to the channel.